So today we're going to go through week 2 of the 8-week Grant Writing Academy. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of information in detail today that we're going to run through, but I want you to know that there's a lot of information that you'll be missing in this presentation, but I'll share with you a little bit later about how you can get access to the rest of the information. Okay, so let's get started, and I hope you guys are taking some notes. All right. So first thing, when people contact me, the first question that they often ask me is, Janise, where can I find a grant? How do I find grants? So grants can be found at many different levels, and I have several of them listed here on the screen. I've referred to them already or alluded to them already. There are federal grants, there are state grants, there's county grants, city grants, foundations, corporate, and then there are grants that are offered by service organizations or clubs, and then there are grants that are offered by giving groups as well. And so when you're looking for grants, I encourage you to look at many different levels to be able to find them. I've kind of ordered these grants here in a strategic order, the way that I understand it, by the federal, state, and county grants being at this top row here, that is where a large amount of the grants live. Okay, and exist and are administered from. So if you are looking for large scale grants to be able to do large scale projects, then you want to look at the federal, state, or at the county level. The next level is city grants, foundation grants, and corporate grants. I also think about these in level of difficulty as well. The grants that sit at the top are probably much more difficult to apply for, and they're probably much more competitive, meaning that the geographic area or the service area for which these grants are given out is a wider range, right? So whereas here at the federal level, for one grant competition, you may have 500 applicants. Okay, you may have 1,000 applicants at the federal level. At the state level, you may have 300, maybe 100 to 300 applicants competing for the same grant opportunity. And sometimes grants are given out to multiple awardees. Sometimes grants, there's only one applicant who's going to be able to be awarded the grant. That is some information that you'll need to learn how to read the notice of funding opportunity announcement to be able to understand that type of criteria. Okay. So at the city level, at the foundation level, at the corporate level, you might be looking at grants that range. There could be a wide range, all the way from maybe like 5,000, 10,000, upwards to a couple of 100,000. There are also some foundations that give out $500,000 grants or $1 million grants as well. Okay, it really just depends on the pillars or the priorities of the grant, and then how the scale of the project as well. Okay, with service organizations and clubs, I think about certain organizations like, have you guys heard of the Lions Club? Anybody heard of them? And remember, I can't see you, so put a thumbs up or put in the chat yes, and then I'll be able to see in the chat when I'm kind of asking some rhetorical questions from you guys. Service organizations, so like the Lions Club, there's a Legion, right? There are sororities and fraternities, perhaps, right, that may give out grants to small businesses or nonprofits as well. And then there may be giving groups. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with giving groups, but I know here in Las Vegas, and within Clark County, the state of Nevada, in Southern Nevada, there are a couple of different giving groups that I'm familiar with. And if you're in a different city or a different state than Las Vegas or Nevada, search this information within your own community to be able to find out if there are giving groups. For example, excuse me, there is the Impact Las Vegas group. It is a group of about 100 women. They get together and they each give $1,000. Okay, in this group. To be a member of this giving group, you give $1,000. And then with that $1,000, it's added to the pot. And let's say they have 100 members. If they each give 1,000, now you have $100,000, right? They take that $100,000 and now they give a grant to one organization, one nonprofit organization per year. This is a great strategy that people have learned to be able to leverage the power of multiplication, right? So if just Janise had $1,000 and I wanted to give a grant, certainly it would make a great impact to whatever organization I gave that $1,000 to. But if I combined my $1,000 with 99,000 other dollars, right, then I could make a even bigger and greater impact for the organization that we wanted to be able to give funding to. So these are here on your screen, 8 different arenas in which you can be able to find grants. And so let's take a look and do a little bit of a deeper dive about how you can specifically find these type of grant opportunities. So how do you find grants, or where do you find grants? You can certainly do online or Google searches. However, when you are searching your and looking for grants and searching, you have to be conscious of the terms and keywords that you are using, okay? Because if you just search grant on Google, you're gonna get an infinite number of possible results, right? And so what you have to be able to do is be able to narrow down your thought and narrow down the key terms that you want to search for. So the question is, what type of service or activities is your organization engaged in? So we heard some organizations being connected with foster care, okay, earlier when we were talking. And so perhaps you want to share or search foster care grants, okay, or foster care funding. But just know that you're going to come up with a lot of results for that as well. We know that foster care is a service that's provided mainly at a local level, right? It's usually provided by the county or by the state. So perhaps in your search, in your online Google search, you want to add maybe some geographic data along in that search, right? So maybe foster care grants in Las Vegas or foster care grants in Houston, right? Because we know that that type of funding is typically locally funded at the county level, at the city level, or at the state level, okay? Otherwise, you'll come up with so many different grants and it may not be applicable to your organization. How else can you find grants? Through listservs, funding lists. There are a lot of foundations that put together lists of grants and make them searchable for you. Government entities put together lists of grants. I know here in my state, we have something that is called the Office of Federal Assistance, and that is a state agency. And that office puts together a list of government grants that are offered in the state of Nevada, as well as federal opportunities. So if you're looking for those type of grants, perhaps you want to look in, again, the geographic location where you're providing services, and you may be able to get on certain lists where they can send you grant opportunities. I know my company, Grant Me Success, also has a newsletter, and we send out grant opportunities for nonprofit organizations as well as small businesses. So you want to make sure that you're signed up on our newsletter. You can do that on our website. There are foundation directories and databases as well. In the chat, if you guys can, let me know, do you have a library card? Does anybody here have a library card? Put Y for yes, N for no. Anybody have a library card these days? Is that a thing? Are people still getting library cards? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see a couple of people. Great. So guess what? By you being a card-carrying member of your local library, you may be able to access a directory, a foundation directory and database that will share with you various grant opportunities. And usually, sometimes these directories or databases have a membership fee. However, if you are a member of the library, then you may be able to get access to that those databases at no cost to you. Okay, did you guys know that? Good place to look. Think about partners and colleagues, right? They may have access to information that maybe you're just not aware of, or even like this workshop. Someone said earlier, oh, somebody told me about this workshop, right? So your partners and your colleagues may be aware about funding opportunities that you don't know about. So speak with them and ask them about, hey, our organization is doing thus and so. We're wanting to fund this type of service or activity. Are you aware of any opportunities? You have to be vocal. You have to be specific and share what it is that you're looking for so that people will send things your way. I've shared this already, libraries, but I want to be a little bit more specific, because if you are a student in a college or at a university, then those colleges and or universities also have libraries, and they may have various directories and databases that you can get access to at no cost. Okay. If you are an alumni of a specific college or university, you may have access to their library information still and be able to get access to grants that way. And then, of course, there are subscription services, paid services where you pay a monthly fee or annual fee to be able to get access to grant opportunities. I know that through Grant Me Success, when you are part of our Grant Me Success University, you can get access to Grant Station at a significant discounted cost. Someone attended one of my free workshops, and they had a subscription to Grant Station, and I asked them, I said, how much did you pay for it? And they said about $300, close to $400 for the year for their subscription. Now, I wish that person would have been part of Grant Me Success University, because they would have only paid $95 for the year for their annual subscription to Grant Station, because Grant Me Success is a partner with them. So there certainly are other various types of subscription services out there. Grant Watch is another one. You may have heard of Instrumental. I just had a call with Instrumental last week. They're getting ready to onboard Grant Me Success as a partner as well. So if you've been looking to sign up with their subscription service, just wait, hold off, because if you sign up through Grant Me Success, you'll get a nice discount on their subscription service as well. So, but you see that there are plenty of ways and many different ways to be able to find grants out there.